At this moment, the ancient emperor looked extremely ugly, as if he was constipated. He was just a scapegoat. If he told this to others, where would he put his face? Why? You look unhappy. The big black cat glanced at the ancient emperor and said disdainfully, "You are so good after getting the advantage. How many people want to get this opportunity, but they haven't got it yet?" The ancient emperor was stunned. Hey, why does this sound so reasonable? If the result of taking the blame is to become a high dimensional, I am afraid that the other gods in the universe C will fight for it. Thinking so in his heart, the pride on his face naturally had to be retained. The ancient emperor snorted coldly and said, "HMPH, look at what you said, it makes me feel that I can't become a high dimensional without taking the blame. I have supreme qualifications, and it is natural." Yeah. The big black cat nodded, and said without giving face, "I don't know which guy and his family made trouble back then, and they were beaten up like dogs, miserable." The ancient emperor. Damn it. The dead cat's words were too harsh. Although it was true, couldn't he give himself some face? The ancient emperor looked at the big black cat with dissatisfaction. Seeing that the seal on it was only half unlocked, he suddenly squinted and laughed. Hee hee, you are right. It is indeed a blessing for this emperor to take the blame. However, you have not been completely liberated until now. It should be that person who is left to take the blame for others, right? The original smug expression of the big black cat froze. The big black cat. Ha ha ha. Seeing the constipated look of the big black cat, the ancient emperor finally couldn't help laughing heartily. Let's go and see that kid. The ancient emperor took a step and disappeared in an instant. The big black cat also disappeared in an instant. Rumble. At this time, above the endless sky of the initial universe, Qin Chen's perfect avenue body evolution has reached the final moment. Endless avenue origins gathered, strands, like billions of rays of light, quickly gathered into Qin Chen's body. Beside him in the distance, Cece and the other four were suspended there, watching this scene in shock. The auras on their bodies had calmed down, and they were also flowing with the terrifying light of the Great Tao, especially when Qin Chen's yin and yang merged and obtained the power of Qin Chen's essence. Whether it was Cece, Chen Shui, Ruyu, or Wanner, their divine bodies were all emitting terrifying divine light, which was more than 100 times stronger than ordinary emperors. Amazing, just entering the realm of the emperor, they already have the basic divine body of the top emperor. It is worthy of the great emperor's divine body that broke through after obtaining the power of the perfect great Tao divine body. I am afraid that if it is spread out, it will be enough to make countless emperors in the universe admire it. A voice suddenly rang in the ears of Cece and the other four. The four were startled and woke up in a hurry, and saw a domineering figure standing beside them. This figure was clearly standing here proudly, but it seemed as if it did not exist in this time and space. It was extremely weird. Cece and the others had a feeling that even if the four of them joined forces to attack after the breakthrough, they would be in vain in an instant, and they would not even be able to touch the other party's clothes. Hello, Senior Ancient Emperor. Cece and the other four saluted hurriedly. Senior, have you stepped into a higher dimension? Cece blinked her eyes and said in shock. When she was in the underworld, she had fought with Qin Chen and naturally saw higher dimensional beings. At this moment, the ancient emperor gave her the same feeling as the Lord of Destruction in the Abyss. His power existed in another higher dimensional space. Once he descended, he could easily destroy any lower dimensional existence. Well, you little girl really have good vision. You are worthy of being the daughter of the underworld god. The ancient emperor raised his head, puffed out his chest, and said proudly, you can actually see through this emperor and step into a higher dimension. Good vision, haha. The corners of the ancient emperor's mouth outlined a slight arc. Okay. You are still pretending to be cool here. A black shadow flashed, and the big black cat appeared here in an instant. He spoke to the ancient emperor with disdain and ridicule, then looked at Cece and said, Miss Cece is only a mid-stage emperor now, and her divine body already contains a trace of high-dimensional power. I am afraid that her future achievements will be higher than yours. What's there to be proud of? The ancient emperor. This dead cat is simply inhumane. What's wrong with me showing off? Is pretending to be cool against the law? Besides, what can I compare with a group of second-generation founders like me? It's simply embarrassing. Turning his head away, the ancient emperor didn't even want to pay attention to the big black cat. Boom. At this moment, there were bursts of roars in front. Qin Chen's Tao divine body was gradually manifesting, and it was vaguely visible that the chaotic world turned into a terrible origin, flowing through Qin Chen's body. In the deepest part of his body, a faint thunder force rolled, emitting a heart-pounding power. Obviously Qin Chen was only a mid-stage emperor, but the terrible origin power contained in his body, even the ancient emperor who had already entered a high dimension, felt the terrible power surging in it, and once it erupted, it would inevitably shake the entire universe. Is this the perfect Tao divine body? The ancient emperor was shocked. From a high-dimensional perspective, he could see much more than others. At this moment, the vast origin of Qin Chen's body, in the process of formation, seemed to emerge in substance. It was like a giant thunder dragon winding across the endless sky, with endless scales all over its body, and each of these scales contained a most original avenue, exuding a terrifying aura beyond the laws of chaos. Perfect avenue divine body. There was almost no weakness, even if he looked at it from a high-dimensional perspective. It was vast and heavy, majestic and boundless, and it was impossible to describe it. This was a perfect body. An existence. Moreover, this avenue dragon contained the most primitive power of the birth of the universe, the opening of the universe, and the origin of the universe. This was something that even he, a strong man who had entered a high-dimensional existence, could not touch or possess. And it was precisely because of the terrifying origin it contained that Qin Chen, who was only a mid-stage emperor, naturally gave birth to a trace of high-dimensional power from the avenue origin in his body. As long as Qin Chen does not die prematurely on the road of growth, it can be said that once there are enough resources and enough time, once Qin Chen enters the realm of the God Emperor in the future, controlling the high dimension will be as easy as eating and drinking water. Comparing people is simply infuriating. The ancient emperor was shocked by the terrifying information contained in Qin Chen's divine body just by watching. This is the legendary, the real perfect avenue divine body. That person has so many layouts, but it has succeeded. The ancient emperor watched silently, and his previous ambitions dissipated in an instant. Looking at Qin Chen, he, a high-dimensional existence, actually felt extremely small at this moment. It was too shocking. The origin of the avenue in Qin Chen's body, at first glance, was just a giant dragon of the Thunder Avenue, but if you look closely, it contains countless universe origin avenues, the perfect yin and yang power, and the way of life and death between heaven and earth. Life and death, endless circulation. This is formed by nature, and it cannot be perfected by practicing acquired cultivation. It takes countless years. The ancient emperor looked at his own high-dimensional body, and then looked at Qin Chen's perfect avenue divine body. Although he had already entered the high dimension and should be far superior to Qin Chen's divine body, he could put aside the power level and compare it from the perspective of origin. Qin Chen's divine body was much more perfect than his. His high-dimensional divine body was like a perfect handicraft that had been tempered by a master craftsman and spent countless energy and years. Although it was stunning and powerful, it actually contained a lot of acquired craftsmanship and methods. Qin Chen's divine body was like an unpolished jade. Although it looked ordinary and rough, it actually contained an unobstructed brilliant divine light. Once it was successfully polished, it would be unprecedented and shocking. That person's method is really ingenious. The ancient emperor whispered silently, looking at Qin Chen. He seemed to see his ultimate pursuit. But he understood that no matter how hard he tried, he could not reach the most perfect divine body state of Qin Chen. This was innate, not acquired through cultivation. In front of the ancient emperor, Qin Chen's divine body gradually took shape, and the countless avenues that were originally exposed also slowly dissipated. I don't know how long it took. Buzz. All the aura on Qin Chen's body disappeared, and he completely returned to being ordinary. His divine body was restrained, and all the great ways and rules were melted into his divine body, as if it was just an illusion before. The sword is hidden in the sheath, and exposed to the wind. The ancient emperor murmured. The power contained in Qin Chen's body is the real high dimension, the real perfection. In comparison, the high-dimensional realm that he had entered after countless efforts and hard work was really too rough. I understand the path I will take in the future. The ancient emperor looked up and muttered to himself, his eyes shining, as if thinking about something. Seeing the process of Qin Chen's origin restraining, it also gave him endless insights, as if he saw an unprecedented path. The great way is right in front of me. If I want to comprehend it, I have to rely on myself. The ancient emperor understood in his heart, and the whole body was shining. On the side, the big black cat saw the state of the ancient emperor and couldn't help but narrow his eyes. This ancient emperor has another insight. Although he had been mocking the ancient emperor before, the big black cat knew very well that the ancient emperor was actually extremely talented. If he had not led his entire clan against the Universe Sea and ended up in a miserable situation, if he had been born in a top-level force, his achievements would definitely be equally amazing. He is a piece of gold that cannot be concealed. Senior. The endless divine body was restrained. Qin Chen came back to his senses, saw everyone on the field, and his figure flashed, and he instantly came to Cece and others, and then saluted the ancient emperor. Senior, are you free from the restraints? Congratulations, Senior. The ancient emperor came back to his senses, smiled and shook his head. He was really out of his mind. What's the point of competing with a second generation? He smiled and bowed. Then I have to thank Qin Xiaoyu for letting me get out of trouble, huh? At this point, the ancient emperor suddenly looked up and looked at the South Universe Sea. The previous trouble is here.